Welcome. The topic we'll be discussing in this session is about threads. So thread. So how could we define thread? So thread can be defined as a basic unit of CPU utilization. A thread is defined as the basic unit of CPU utilization. We can also call a thread as a lightweight process. We can also call a thread as a lightweight process. And the thread consists of thread ID, a program counter, register set, and a stack. So all these are part of a thread. That is, thread includes what are the things thread includes in the sense thread includes thread ID. There will be an ID for every thread. Apart from apart from that, it includes program counter. It includes program counter. It includes register set, and it includes stack. Okay, so these are the things a thread contains. That is, every thread will have its own ID, will have its own program counter, it will have its own registers and own stack. Okay, like that for every thread it will be there. Okay, but the thread shares the thread shares the code section, data section, and other resources. The code section, data section, and other resources like files or IO devices. It includes also IO devices like files or IO devices are shared among all the threads. So there won't be a separate code section or separate data section or separate other resources for each of the threads. No, all the threads will share these things. Okay, so these things which is basically belonging to a particular process. So this entire unit is nothing but a process. This entire unit is a process, and this process is currently running three threads. So we can call this as thread 1, and this is thread 2, and this is thread 3. So currently this process is running three threads, which are thread 1, thread 2, and thread 3. So thread 1 has its will have its own thread ID, program counter, register, and stack. Similarly, thread 2 will have its own thread ID, program counter, register, and stack. Similarly, thread 3. But all these threads will share a common code section, data section, and other resources which belongs to this particular process. Okay, so this is the basic introduction to threads. and and what is the difference between a single threaded program and a multi-threaded program? So if you see uh, a typical application, a conventional application, normally it will be a single threaded process. That is, in a single threaded process, there will be only one thread. It will not have more than one thread. There will be only one path of execution. So here you can see this left side diagram. There is a process, and this process is having only one thread. It does not have more than one thread. And of course the process has all the other things like code section, data section, other resources, register stacks, all these things. But all these are used by only one thread. Okay, so such a process is called as a single threaded process. Whereas in modern days, most of the process are multi-threaded process. Okay, so this is the right hand side diagram. This is also a process. So this is a process, but this process is running three threads. Okay, so this process is running three threads. Okay, maybe one thread may be doing some functionality, and another thread will be doing another functionality. That is, each thread will perform different functionality. Okay, so if it is a for example, if it is a word application, then maybe one thread will take the input from the user. Whatever the user types, that will be printed on the word application. So it basically receives the input from the user and it just places that uh, on the Word document. Okay, and another application in the background, this may be performing spell check. So this second application, probably it may be performing spell check. Okay, it may be performing spell check. Okay, and there may be another application, another thread which is running in the in the background, uh, which may be checking for any unauthorized access or any virus kind of thing is there or not, like that. For some security related application may be running in the background. Okay, so this single process is having three threads, one that receives input, one that performs spell check, and one is looking that there is no security breach is going on. Okay, so this type of application is called as multi-threaded application, where each thread will have its own thread ID, program counter, registers, and stack, but all the threads will share the code section, data section, and other resources from that particular process. So this is the introduction to threads. Okay. So the next thing what we will be discussing in the sense, yeah. So let us take a client server application and how we'll try to understand how multi-threading is done in a client server based application for a web server. Okay, this particular server is a web server. Okay, this particular server is a web server. So what a web server will do? Web server will provide a instance of a website. Okay? So let us assume this is some web server. So you can say that uh, say this is Google. So this web server is nothing but the Google server. Okay, so it's the Google server, right? So Google server, what it will do? Many clients can place a request. So whenever a client places a request, so a client is placing a request to Google. I want that is he want an instance of a Google. That is he want to search something. Then the Google server will give one instance of the website to that particular client. Okay. So the client, let us assume this is client one. Client one got that instance. Similarly, maybe now another user may request. So then another instance will be given to client two. Okay. Now maybe some other user may be requesting. So that will be another instance will be given to client three. Like that, there is no limit. N number of users may, or millions or trillion number of users may place a request. And for every one, Google will be giving one particular instance. Okay. Now these instances, now these multiple instances of the Google web page, how it is getting created. There are two ways in which these multiple instances can be created. Each of these multiple instances can be a separate process. That is one method. So this instance we can call it as process one. This instance you can call it as process two, and this instance we can call it as process three, and the last instance is process n, like that. Okay, this is one way, but there is a problem with that. What? Processes are generally heavyweight. Processes are generally heavyweight, and and switching from one process to another process, it will take very long time. It is a costly operation for the operating system. So Google is serving these processes, in the sense Google is actually uh, switching, the processor is switching between all these tasks. Okay, so so it is a so process or heavyweight, heavyweight, the process are generally heavyweight. So switching from one process to another process, it is a very costly operation. So instead of that, what can be done, in the sense, you need not create a process, rather you create a thread. Okay, don't create these multiple instances as a process, rather create these multiple instances as thread. Okay, if these multiple instances are created as threads, so this is the first one is thread 1, next is thread 2, and next is thread n. If these are converted to threads, then what happens, in the sense, threads are lightweight processes. So so for each and everything, the particular process need not take the help of the operating system to perform context switch. So the context switching can be done at a faster rate. Okay, so this is what this particular diagram shows, like how multi-threading can be achieved in a client server environment uh, for a for a web server. So this server, what we are assuming in the sense, it is a web server. Okay, so whenever a client places a request, here the client is placing a request, that is, I need this particular website. Okay, I need a copy of this particular website or instance of this. Then the server, so this is the first step. Then the server creates a new thread. A new thread server creates. Okay. After creating the server new thread, again the server will keep on waiting. Is there any other client is coming or not? Now, if one more client comes and says that I want another I want a copy of this particular website, then it will create another thread. So that will be thread 2, because this is thread 1. Okay. After creating thread 2, again the server will be keep on waiting for the client. Again, if some other client places a request, it will create another thread, that is thread 3. Okay. So like that, it can create n number of threads. After creating each and every thread, it will resume listening for additional client request. Okay. So this is how we can implement the multi-threading feature in a client server environment. Okay. And next we will try to understand what are the benefits of multi-threading. Why should we go for multi-threading? So there are many benefits of multi-threading. The first is responsiveness. That is, when there is multiple threads, the application will respond at a faster rate. So the user will have a good experience with the application, and the user will be enjoying using this application. Okay. So basically the particular process which is multi-threaded, it will respond to user inputs at a faster rate. The second is resource sharing. So the resources that are allocated to a particular process are are effectively utilized when you use multi-threading. Okay, because there are multiple threads. Each thread will perform one activity, and it will try to ensure that all the resources are effectively getting utilized. So the resource allocated to a particular process will be shared effectively. The third is economy. As we have already discussed, process is a heavyweight activity. So context switching from one process to another process is a costly operation. Costly operation in the sense, whenever the CPU want to, uh, whenever the context switch has to be done from one process to another process, the operating system should involve, and things should be pushed into stack. All these things should be done. So these are uh, the whatever the process state should be pushed into stack, and whichever the new process to be executed, that process state should be loaded. All these are very costly operation, but switching from one thread to another thread can be done by the process itself. Okay, no, the operating system will not involve here. So in that context, it is very economical to use multi-threaded application. And scalability in the sense, when there are multiple processors or multiple cores in the system. Okay, the typical system has only one processor, but nowadays you know that even laptops and computers are coming with multiple cores. So when there are multiple cores, if your computer has two cores, and if your process this is currently running, if it is having four threads, then maybe each core can run two threads. So it means the multiple cores that the processor is having is getting utilized in an effective way. Okay. So if the process is not a multi-threaded process, then even if you have two core processor, only one core will be used at a time. Okay, so that is what scalability means. So effective, again the it is basically uh, it is basically the mm, utilization of your uh, all the resources. Okay. So the next thing what we'll be discussing is there are uh, two types of parallelism. The first is called as data parallelism and the next is called as task parallelism. So let us try to understand what is data parallelism and what is task parallelism. So, so data parallelism means assume that you have an array of n elements, let us say n integers. So this particular array contains n numbers, okay? So 1 to n numbers, okay? So let us assume that you want to add these numbers. You want to add this number and the computer you are using, it has a 2-core CPU. So the CPU contains 2 cores, core 1 and core 2. Okay, so now you should achieve parallelism. Now you can perform two tasks parallelly because you have 2 cores. This is core 1, okay, and this is core 2. So you have 2 cores, you can perform two tasks simultaneously. So what the operating system may do in the sense, in the context of data parallelism, it may divide this entire array into two parts. Okay, the first part is the first location to n by 2 location. Okay, the first location to the contents of the first location to n n by 2 location. So that locations will be added by the this content from first location to n by 2 location, that may be added by core 1. So this is called core 1, okay? And content from n by 2 plus 1 to nth location, contents from n by 2 plus 1th location to nth location. So these contents will be added by core 2, okay? And then the result of core 1 and the core 2 will be added to get the final output. So this type of sharing the work is called as data parallelism. Here the task is same, both cores are performing the same activity, that is they are adding, but the data is different. This is adding the content from 1 to n by 2 location, and core 2 is adding the content from n by 2 plus 1 to nth location. So this kind of parallelism is called as data parallelism. Whereas what is task parallelism? Task parallelism in the sense, uh, so again let us consider the same scenario. So there is a CPU with 2 cores, C1 and C2, okay, core 1 and core 2. Now assume that in this particular array with n elements, you want to perform two statistical operations. You want to perform two statistical operations. Say first is you want to take the average of all these n elements. That is one statistical operation. That is you want to take the mean or average of all these n elements. Okay, that is one task. Okay, right? And let us assume that you want to perform another task. That is you want to multiply all these n contents. You want a product of all these n contents. This is another task you want to perform. These are the two tasks which you want to perform. So now you can give the task 1, that is to calculate the mean to core 1, okay, and to calculate the product of all these n items. This may be given to core 2, okay. So if parallelism is done this way, then that is called as task parallelism, okay. So it all depends on the program and the activity the program demands, whether you should go for a data parallelism or you should go for a task parallelism. It depends on the type of the uh, instructions that are in a particular process. So depending on that, the operating system should choose whether should we go for data parallelism or task parallelism. Okay. So this is how we define data parallelism and task parallelism. Okay. Now let us try to understand the difference between concurrency and parallelism. What is meant by concurrency and what is meant by parallelism? Is it same or different? Actually, this is not, both are not same, both are different. See, parallelism is possible only in a multi-core system or a multi-processor system. Okay, multi-core means in one processor you have more than one core. Multi-processor means physically you have two processors. I have a processor 1 and also I have another processor 2. That is, my computer is equipped with two processors. Okay, so that type of system is called as multi-processor system. So parallelism, the real parallelism means really executing more than one task simultaneously. That is possible only in a multi-core system or in a multi-processing system. So that is what this diagram shows. So here you have two cores, core 1 and core 2. And we have some threads, like we have four threads, T1, T2, T3 and T4. So what is happening in the sense, core 1 is executing thread 1 and thread 3. Core 1 is executing thread 1 and thread 3. It is executing thread 1 for sometimes say x milliseconds, and then it is switching to thread 3 for another y milliseconds. Then again it switches to thread 1, like that it keeps executing. Similarly, core 2 is executing thread 2 and thread 4. So it executes thread 2 for sometimes, and then it executes thread 4 for sometimes, and then it switches to thread 2, like that. Okay. So this is an example of true parallelism, because see, this is time. X-axis is time. So here you can see now in the same time, two threads are getting executed. That is at this particular point of time. If you call this as first unit of time, then in the first unit of time, two threads are running parallelly, thread 1 and thread 2. Similarly, in the second unit of time, two threads are running parallelly, thread 3 and thread 4. Similarly, in the third unit of time, two threads are again running parallelly, which is thread 1 and thread 2. Okay, so like that. So this is an example of parallelism. That is what is meant by concurrent execution. Concurrent execution means you have more than one threads available in the system, and all threads are progressing. All threads are progressing by means of context switching. All threads are progressing by means of context switching. That is, the CPU, you have only single core. That is, your CPU has only one core. So CPU executes thread 1 for sometimes 4 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds. Then it switches to thread 2. It executes this for some time. And then it switches to thread 3. It executes this for some more time. And then it switches to thread 4. And again it come back to thread 1. Okay. So it gives some slice of time for each threads, and once that time slice is over, the processor will switch to the next thread, and this continues. So this type of execution is called as concurrent execution. Okay. So let us stop here. So what we have discussed in the sense, we have discussed what is a thread and what's the difference between single threaded application and multi-threaded application. Then we have discussed what is the advantage of uh, threads or multi-threading. And then we have discussed the different types of parallelism, data parallelism and task parallelism. And then we have finally discussed the difference between concurrent execution and parallel execution. Okay, fine. Let us stop here. Thank you.